Hey everybody, Keith here, Mark's behind the camera, and today we're going to paint a bunch of dead fish.
What?
Yeah, I know, it sounds interesting, not, but it is kind of a fun and a little bit different close-up kind of art that we haven't been doing a lot of. We've been doing a lot of scenery, scenery. Dead grass, lots of dead trees, more dead grass, and then old barns. So today I thought, let's change it up a little bit. I used to live in Hawaii for a little while, and I loved going to the fish market, and they'd throw the fish down in the ice, and it was just a visual kind of treat. So I hunted around, found some dead mackerel, and decided, hey, let's paint those. For the fun part of it is, fish have a lot of iridescent color in them, and that's what we're going to try to pick up. We're going to try to pick up the brightness. It's not going to be, hopefully not ugly. Hey, we'll try. Anyway, and the ice kind of makes it interesting too. The other thing about the picture is the fish are going to be flat, and basically it's not a lot of hard work. It'll be a little easier project, okay? Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the first part of this that I like to try and get going is the iridescence on the skin of the fish, and then eventually break into color. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a magenta and a little bit of my favorite ultramarine blue. These two colors, and that's not it. All right, let's try again. Ah, yes. I had the wrong one.
So while Keith's mixing up some of his initial colors, we'll get back to which colors he's using.
Trying to figure out what he's doing.
So he uses Sminky brand paints. He's got his arches. Is this the 140 or?
Yes, 140 cold press.
140 cold press. Usually Lowell Cornell brushes. That looks like a number 4.
No, much bigger. 8.
8. We have a rough link of where you can purchase this stuff on our website right now. We'll get it better later eventually, but use the link, purchase some of the art supplies we recommend. We get a small commission if you do. You don't pay any extra. Otherwise, use what he says and use it as a checklist at your local art supply center, and support local business is always a good thing. But as Keith also said on our website, we have a dedicated page now to as many of the pencil drawings from this video and from a couple others, and we've got more coming soon. So just be patient. If you don't see something there right now, it'll either get there or we don't have it, and it'll never get there. So
right, you'll have to find it yourself.
Yeah, draw your own fish.
Brew, ha 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 ha.
Thanks for the support anyway.
Yeah. All right. So one of the things I'm going to point out. So we can see the tray, and I just wanted to point out these first layers. We're not going to hit it heavy. These are very light iridescent colors. So what we want to do is put a lot of water in our paint. So it's more like a very translucent dye. So like I said, I've got a little bit of the magenta, a little bit of the ultramarine blue, and then I even mixed a little of the two together just to create a violet, a very kind of actually pretty violet, and that's what we're into. Pretty violets. Okay, I'm going to start with the pink first, okay? And the nice thing about this is we're just, we're trying to just kind of drop a light layer of color in, so it doesn't have to be wet or anything. We'll just, we've got so much water in the paint itself, and we can just lightly kind of dab it in, brush it in here and there. I like to not put it everywhere. Leave little bits of white here and there so other colors can be kind of pushed in. And now you might notice that I'm kind of going around these fins because they're so transparent in the when I'm doing them, that we want to make sure we just leave these little side fins, the gill fins, leave them blank so that we don't get too much color on them right away. All right, so I'm just gonna. Ooh. I also like to vary a little bit the value a little bit, so that some are darker than others, some are lighter. The idea is, like I said, right now, this might look, oh my God, pink fish. But once we get going, they'll get pinker. No. Once we get going, that'll tone down. Have no fear. First we're doing dead fish, and now we're doing pink fish. It's just wrong. Alright.
Must be salmon.
Yeah, there you go. Just like we used to have in Florida. Snapper cod, flounder cod. There were certain unscrupulous restaurants, I'll have you know.
All three of them?
Well, hey, my town was bigger than that. In fact, all the restaurants in my town were fish restaurants. I think it's the law. It may have changed since the 70s and 80s. So, but yes, I lived in Florida too. And now I'm in sunny Michigan.
All right, you're pushing the limits of how far close to
sliding out of the camera view. All right, so
I will start taping you down.
Yeah, I hear you.
Make you run around the desk.
Okay, that seems fair. I will. I'll be better. Not. All right, so there's my first pinky layer, as I like to call it. And now I'm going to come through. Actually, what I'm going to do, before everything dries, and it may be too late, we're just going to drop a little water here and there into some of the wet areas, just to push the paint around a little bit. What it does is if it's still wet, it's not too late. What I'm trying to do is push the paint to the edges of where the water is. What that does is creates these little hard lines that create a kind of like almost like iridescent fish lines. No, I don't. There's got to be a word for it. Iridescent. Lines here and there. It becomes more obvious when I drop the blue in. You'll kind of see what I'm talking about. All right. So now I'm going to start with the ultramarine blue. And what I don't want to do is, I don't want to cover all the pink, okay? I want to leave some of the pink alone. But I want to kind of move around and hit some of the other areas on the fish with a very, 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 very pale.
Where are you going?
Sorry. Very, very, very pale layer of the blue over top and around and beside the pink. We don't, there will be darker values. Should I just say that we you know what? We will have a picture of some mackerel too for you to look at, okay? Just so you'll kind of know where I'm coming from.
Fresh mackerel or frozen mackerel?
Well, these are, I'm assuming, kind of fresh.
As Meyer says, fresher than fresh.
It would be good. Wonder how many people have Myers.
Well, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we don't.
Are you in a Meyer zone or not?
Yeah, we.
Because I can't remember the last time I've seen outside of a fish community or a legit fish selling store, just random fish on chunks of ice at a grocery store. You know, Kroger's not big for...
Not ours, anyway. I don't know about yours. We'll probably have Kroger calling us now. Hey, our fish are nice and fresh. What are you talking about? You shut up. All right. So, as you can see, I'm lightly pushing in here and there as I'm doing it. A little bit of the violet also. Okay? Okay. All right. I'm going to grab a little more of my magenta. And again, a lot of water in it. Do not get too dark in these first stages. Because like I said, this is kind of that. Instead of having a fish that's like fish belly white, we want a fish with a little bit of color to it, a little bit of iridescence. So that's why we're throwing these colors in. Now, you know, are they this exact color? No, it's the reflection of light and lights on top of the, you know, on that, you know, these fish have scales and they reflect light in different ways. That's why this is kind of fun to do, because you can pick up different colors in the skin of the fish, especially that fish belly white, which is usually what I am in the middle of summer or the beginning of summer. We're trying to avoid that color and come up with something a little brighter, a little prettier. Okay. Sorry, I'm probably knocked 2 or 3 people off their chairs. As you can see, I like to leave a little bit of white here and there, just enough to break up the fish a little bit, so that because they have like little facets, you know, on their face. So you don't want just a hard color everywhere. So anyway, so you can see I kind of leave around the face. I'll leave little facets to be painted later.
Well, reflections would be lighter and
right.
Things too.
Okay, so I think maybe I'm going to come over here, add just a little more value. I'm going to go a little darker, because the top of the fish is going to be a little darker anyway. So now, if you have not joined us before, I'll just let you know that I do teach a regular watercolor class in my hometown, and we have done this for the past couple weeks. Had so much fun doing it, decided to force the rest of the world to do it with us. So you know, it was just fun. I think it's a fun subject. I think it's a lot of fun to do close-up art, you know, as far as you know, having the opportunity to, you know, doesn't always have to be a scenery, doesn't always have to be for me a bird. I do a lot of wildlife, so this is a little different kind of wildlife for me, swimming amongst the ice.
Because everybody wants those pictures of dead fish hanging up in the
exactly. I'm thinking seafood restaurants everywhere, you know. But
here's the before photo.
Yeah.
We painted it because it looks more enticing.
Look at that tasty fish. All right, very good. All right, so I think
I promise we'll eventually get to subject matter that you will want to hang up and present to.
You know what? This might look great in somebody's ice house, or
ice fishing.
Ice fishing pit shanty. No, actually, I think it'd be kind of fun for a kitchen subject, with your painted tomatoes. And next week, painted tomatoes. I think that's the thing. I'm not a still life person, okay? So you say still life. This is as close as I'm getting, okay? So this is just a little more, like I said, a little more whimsical, a little more fun. For me, I don't know about you guys. All right. I'm sure you'll let me know. You're not nice to the fish. Okay. At this point, I'm going to let this set up, okay? We want it to dry so that when I get to the next layers, I don't want the colors mixing. As a matter of fact, one of the next colors I'm going to use is a color quinacridone gold. And it's very pretty. It's kind of a bright yellow-brown that's very intense. And you can use it. It's very transparent, too. So it's very light. I can use it very lightly, or I can really amp the color up. So we're going to let this dry. I'm just going to ask Mark, can I turn off the camera for a minute and let it dry, or
sure.
Should I find something else to talk about?
You know any jokes?
Yeah, no.
All right, we'll see you in a minute.
All right, thank you.
Or 10.
Yep, you'll never know. Okay, we're back. That didn't take you very long. It took us a little while. It's dry, and I'm about to step up the value on the fish now. We're going to work on getting the darker colors in now. One of the colors I will be using is this Quin Gold, which I'm smearing up right now for you to look at. As you can see, it's not in my schminky tray.
Why?
Because I haven't ordered it yet. But they do have one. Most of the companies do.
So where did that come from then?
This one comes from one of my students. Gave it to me. No, it's from this one's from Daniel Smith. They're a pretty good company. A lot of people use their paint, and they do a good professional grade paint also. So if you're not into schminky and you want to try something else, you might think about them too. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm also going to now put down a lot more color in my tray, okay, for the colors I'm going to be using. And once again, it's going to be not alizarin, but magenta, and the what blue is that again? Ultramarine blue. And I'm also going to pull out a little bit more indigo. Now the indigo is just for, I want to deepen some of the colors as I'm working, and that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start this middle fish right here. And I'm going to start with the gold, the Quin Gold. And the color kind of runs across the middle of their body. So I'm just going to start by putting a little bit. You notice I'm still not wetting the paper. I'm just kind of applying it directly to the dry paper. And then what I do is I'll usually come in and then I'll just softly kind of blend the color in. If you wet everything, it runs all over. I don't have as much control. So this way it gives me a little more control by working dry brush like this. As you can see, I'm kind of working around that fin a little bit. We'll be able to kind of fill that in a bit later. All right, so I'm looking at a fish picture. No, really. Okay. So as you can see, I'm again Just applying the facets of color. Dry to the paper, and then I take a little bit of water and just kind of gently blend it in where I want it. And a little here. All right. So I slow down a little bit so I don't knock you guys off your seats. Okay. I'm also going to take a little bit down to the tail. The tail of the fish is fairly transparent, but it has a kind of a golden hue to it, so I'm going to stick with that. We're doing the gold first because the blue is going to be a little bit darker. That'll go over top. So we go from light to dark in watercolors, unless you want a hard time. All right. So now I'm going to do. It's almost like I'm doing a Pisces thing or something. It is March. Yeah.
Not when this comes out.
What? Yes. Gemini. They are Geminis. Twin fish.
You got lucky.
Yeah, no, I'm just I have no idea. So again, I'm applying the color. On dry paper, and then I just start adding water to softly blend it. I like to kind of have a few hard lines, and then like towards the bottom here, towards the belly, I want it to kind of blend away. And I don't want it to come all the way down because I want some of those pinks and blues for our fish belly white to stay apparent. Now again, I'm just gently blending away again. Okay. So again, I am now just dropping a little water just to create little hard, harsh lines. That will look like fish skin when I'm finished. I hope. Okay. So, Mr. Mark.
Oh, you want me to yell at you?
No. I was just wondering about our battery issues.
Yeah, they're still there.
We still have batteries? Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm watching.
Well, what I was going to say is I can almost take a break now and let this value dry up.
No, keep painting.
Okay, I'll have to find something else to work. Okay, now I'm going to paint a dog over here. All right. I do have to let the gold dry. If I try to put the blue directly on the gold while it's wet, we probably end up with an interesting green, which we're not looking for. So, in the meantime, while these two fish are drying, I'm going to paint a few ice cubes.
So isn't that just white paint?
Yeah. Yes, it is. No, it's clear paint. Very shiny,
just
too.
wet the paper and
yeah, and that's it. Yeah. Then you put it in the fridge. So what I'm going to use, again, it's a pretty limited palette on this painting, which, works. I am going to use just a little bit of the ultramarine blue. Again, really kind of washing it down so it's light. Using a lot of water. You just blend it down. also going to grab just a little bit of that violet I mixed up earlier, just so it isn't quite so ultramarine bluey. I know that's a word.
Bluey!
Alright, so when I do ice, when I do faceted items, I like to, you want to kind of leave facets of light. So as you can see, I just kind of, here's one value, here's another value. So the white, I leave the paper white, and I just put a little more blue on a couple sides. And I'm going to just take a little bit of water. I might lift a little color there. Okay, so the idea is don't sit there and make outlines, okay? You want the facets to actually make the outline. I hope this makes sense, because people want to sit there and they want to draw the edges, okay? Don't draw the edges. Just paint the facets that you're going to do, okay? And then leave everything else alone. Just go and find another facet to paint. Okay. So, you can put, little lines here and there, okay? But just don't want you to outline each ice cube. That does not, it looks fake. I was going to say stupid, but I'm not allowed to use that word anymore.
Stop calling me a butt.
Yeah, but, however, Mr. However.
Much more acceptable.
Yeah. So again, as you can see, see how I don't draw the outline, I draw the color, the facet. I paint the facet, okay? And if you want an edge or two, you can always drop a little water, create a little hard edge. The water kind of rushes to the edges, of what you've painted, and you get this little hard line where it's washed up to the dry, and it just stops there, okay? So let's keep going. Add a little more pink. Here's a nice facet down here. Now you can put lines in, but again, I'm going to say it. Don't do all your outlines like that. That don't work. But you can break it up within the ice cube. You can do that. Okay. And then the trick with the ice is, what happens is you're trying to get all your lighter outer, the high point of your ice, okay? And then as you go farther down in the ice, it'll get darker and darker and darker. So I'm going to go ahead, because I'm still waiting on me fish, and I'm just going to create a few more ice cubes for you guys to figure out. And again, see how I just paint the facets. And if they're rounded, kind of, half melty ice, then round your facets. Now you're just making up stuff. And then to make the ice cubes, like everything else, I gotta wait for things to dry. To make the ice cubes pop up more, you need more value.
Shadows.
Yep. I like to find little corners. Yeah, it's almost like a shadow. Basically what it is just little farther down, a little less light hitting them. So the idea is you don't want to go, nuts. You want to kind of do it a little at a time. Do these values. I like to find corners. I like doing little faceted corners. That helps things kind of pop out. So as you can see, things are starting to break up now with a little bit of darker values. These things start popping out. Remember, leave white. So that's your brightest reflected light here on the cubes. You can see the cubes starting to pop out now. You're a pop out. Okay. And you just keep going back in, and well, it's still wet.
Alright, I guess if you need a break.
I do. I'm running out of dry area to paint.
Let me know when you're going to stop.
Okay, I'm going to stop. And we'll just keep going after we get a little get this thing dried up.
Okay.
So
see
we'll
you
be
in
back.
A minute.
Hi, we're back, and
I'm here too.
And Mark is still here. We were arguing. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to start creating, getting some of the darker colors into the fish now. And then we'll go back and see if we can get a little more something going with the ice too. I'm going to give you a heads up right now, and I don't want everybody to leave right away. What's that mean? But I am only going to do the two main fish that I've started. In case you'd noticed, I didn't paint all the other fish. For the sake of time, we are going to just do the two main fish and a couple nice little chunks of the ice, so you can get a very good idea of what we're doing. And then what I will do is finish the picture off camera, and then we'll post it on the website. Correct?
It'll be on Facebook, Keith's Facebook page, probably his Instagram, and then we have the Students of R.K. McGuire Facebook group where you guys can share pictures and talk to each other, and we'll put it there too. I don't really think we have a spot on the actual website at the moment to put it.
Oh, okay. So there you go. I want a spot.
You gotta finish paintings to get a spot.
Alright, fine. Alright, so I'm going to add a little bit of this magenta into the ultramarine blue, so I'm starting to pick up a little more value here. If you notice, I'm also leaving like little light areas. I'm not painting it entirely blue across the top. I'm leaving little areas where it looks like a little bit of reflection shining on the top a little bit, so that it isn't just one big dark surface. You want things to kind of have the scales kind of vary and change in color. And I'm working my way across the top here. And again, I'm still working dry brush. I don't really want to wet the fish, because I want these little hard little facets for the bits and pieces of this fish now. Alright. I am going to soften the edges here and there, okay, but not everywhere. Again, I'm adding quite a bit of water into what I've already painted so that I can create little sharp areas with sharp edges. Okay. I am going over the yellow here and there. And the yellow will bleed through a little bit, but it shouldn't be an issue. Alright, so now I'm coming up around the eye. These cod seem to have like a very dark area around their eyes. Now I'm almost drawing lines. So these are like little separations in their skin. So I am almost literally drawing.
It's a little hard to see because...
I'm sorry, shadow?
Well, yeah, just the way you hold the pen, or the paintbrush.
Yeah.
Kind of cover the...
Okay, I'm going to try to, I'll back up a little bit here, see if I can...
That's better.
Okay. Do a little bit of... Come back again here. And again, I'm just doing like very light, very thin gill lines. We don't want these lines to be too heavy, but we want to see how the kind of the mouth and the jaw breaks up a little bit. Very light. Okay. Now I'm doing speed lines. No. What are these?
Scales?
Yeah, kind of, but it's almost like a pattern or a design. In the color of the fish too. But yeah, it's definitely scales. Okay. Alright, and then I'm slowly working my way back to you, babe. I know. It's in the contract, I'm not allowed to sing. That was singing? Alright. Okay. Now as I get towards the back here, I'm gonna do like a little bit of cross hatching, almost like a drawing. Okay. And I'm gonna go back the other way. appears like the scales are getting like a little bit smaller as we get towards the back of the fish here. All right, and then I'm going to take the edge, just softly kind of smear a little bit of it. Okay. And then, so up here, while it's still wet, I'm still pushing. I push water in there it just kind of moves the paint around. You get these different little patterns and things going. Makes it interesting. So this is kind of a wet on wet thing. And it doesn't work if it's already dry. Well, that makes sense. All right. So while that's going on, I'm going to attempt to do the other fish. Okay. And the nice thing is they don't have to all be exactly the same color, exactly the same way. There is, you know, a little variation in them. It can't be too far off, but we are looking for, you know, as they sit in different positions, as they are hit by different different angles in the light and everything, so you are going to get variations. So if they all don't look exactly the same, good.
Are you going to paint in the hook from when they were caught?
Arr.
Or are these netted fish?
Arr. You know, I have no idea. First time I saw them, they were in the basket, right? As they were pulled off the ship.
Nice.
Of course, I never thought to ask either. And as I'm painting on the other one, I'm watching the first one to see if I need to do any correction. I like doing my correcting or adding while it's still wet. Just makes it more, it's easier and more fun. Okay. You know, this is my birthday month. And I am a Pisces.
Trying to guilt me into something I'm missing?
Yeah, presents, birthday presents, and that maybe you'll put it up before the end of March. I know in the grand scheme of things it probably doesn't matter, but it just seems symbolic, you know?
Sure.
Birthdays, Ides of March, that's a good thing. Et tu, Brute?
You can tell me what an Ides is.
You know, I have no idea. I just know that they killed Julius Caesar on that day. Actually, I wonder if it's when the calendar, you know, back in the olden days, back Roman days, if that was, if the Ides of March is when the, sort of like the spring solstice. Solstice? Solstice?
Above my pay grade.
Okay, fine. Solstice?
Winter solstice.
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 There. I knew I was saying it wrong. I just didn't know how to say it right.
Didn't know how wrong you were.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, I'm going to grab a little bit more of the indigo, a little more of the ultramarine blue, because I want to get a little more value. This fish looks a little light compared to the other one.
They're not nice longer.
Yeah. Start to fade on me. It's not gonna work.
We need more food coloring.
Alright. Sorry if I'm spinning around too fast, but...
At least you're spinning in the direction they'd be swimming.
Yeah. In the northern hemisphere. What? Okay. So as you can see, the cross-hatching, I create these little bits of light in their in the skin. So I give it that kind of scaly feel. And the thing is about doing something like this is you want to get all the value. You want to get all the way from dark to, light to dark. So, don't be afraid to get some color on these things. But just remember that we want to keep the lighter areas also. It's just as important to have the light as the dark. So this is coming along about where I want it. Okay. Now, again, as in on the first fish, I am going to go back in and just kind of lightly draw in with our very fine tip brush some of these fine lines that are in the fishy's face. Fishy face. Like I said, I like to kind of blend here and there by just softening an edge here and there, okay? A little bit of water. Yes. And yes, I do wipe my brush on my pants. I know there are easier ways, but... Alright. I'm going to go back in. I want to hit the gold again. Now that I've gotten the blue in and I can kind of see the weight of it, I want to go ahead and maybe add just a little more of that gold color to make it stand out. Still working with working dry and then adding water again. Just a little bit of a blend. I see I forgot a fishtail. watercolor in this one. All right. So while that's drying, I'm going to come in. I'm going to do the eyes.
What?
Yep, it's eye time. Do we have time?
Sure.
Camera-wise?
So far.
Camera time? All right. Camera time.
I'll wait till the paintbrush is just about to touch the paper. I'm back. No!
Oh, it's time to go. All right. So for the eyes, what I like to do is I like to have a little iridescence in them. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave like a little bit of an edge, like a white, kind of a white edge around the eye. We're going to put a little of this blue in, not the pupil area, okay, the outer part of the eye here. I'm just dropping a little blue in. I'm also going to drop just a tiny bit of this, what do you call that? The very light violet, very light, okay? So, and both eyes don't have to be exactly the same. You can kind of change up the color a little bit. Just make it slightly more interesting, and don't forget to leave some little white areas in there too, okay? Don't just paint the whole eye in. You want to leave some light. So I got to let that set up for a little bit. And while the gold is drying, while the eyes are drying, there we go. I'm now going to perhaps throw in a little more color into the ice baby. Just so that it looks like I have a little more depth to the ice. Gosh. Just by kind of creating little dark facets so it looks like it farther down. It gets, that the ice is more than, one ice cube deep, I guess is what I'm trying to figure out. And we don't, you don't need a whole lot of color. You just need a little bit here and there. And in the meantime, I like to kind of come back in and maybe add a, look around, see where I can add maybe a little more interest to the ice by cracking up the facets maybe with just a little more color. I might come in with a whole area where I might darken up the whole cube. There we go. Now the other thing you can do with the ice is you can once you get your fish on, and your fish on, sounds like we're one of them fishing shows. But once you got the color down on your fish, you might reflect some of that color onto the ice itself, just so it kind of looks like you're picking up some of the reflection. And don't go crazy on that, but you get the idea. Just want to get a little color. And again, like I said, we want to see enough of a value farther and farther down. And just add a little color.
Gonna have to reset the camera soon.
Okay, it's almost time for a dry down anyway here. So, like I said, don't be afraid to put a little of that color of the fish in the ice itself too. So, hopefully. I'm just going to hit this a little bit more so we can quit for a minute while we change camera batteries. All right, want to take a break here?
Sure.
I actually need time to dry anyway too, so it's perfect timing. All right, we're back for the kind of final steps of the 2 fish that I'm working on. Like I said, we're not going to do the whole thing because, God, you got to be getting tired of watching me paint fish.
Wait, 1 fish or 2 fish?
1 fish, 2 fish,
red
fish, blue fish, exactly. So basically, we don't have too much more to go. I do want to do the eyes real quick. I'm going to grab a little smaller paintbrush. I'm going to grab the, what do you call this stuff? Paint? Yeah, sure.
Pigment?
The Quin Gold. And I'm going to add a little bit of this gold to the eye, the outside of the eye. We're not going to paint the whole eye this color. We're just going to get some of this color in the iris.
Pupil's the outside, iris is the inside.
Is it?
Right? Or am I backwards?
I think you're backwards, but so we don't want to do it all. We just want to get a little color on.
Yeah,
maybe
iris has the color. Pupil's the center.
On each side of these eyes. So you don't have to go. What you want to do is leave light. You want to not fill in the entire eye with the with this Quin Gold. You just want to kind of give it a little color on each side of the pupil. Then for the pupil, I like to use the indigo. And what we're going to do is we are going to leave, just so it doesn't look like it's totally dead, even though they are, we're going to leave some highlights in the pupil itself. We're just.
Did you say so that dead fish looked alive?
Yeah, so it has a little more lively look. Like, I'm fresh dead. Thank you very much. So now, as you can see, I painted it in, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift some of the color out. Huh. What I'm going to do is add a little more water to it. And what we're going to try to do is now... There.
Move your hands so people can see what you're doing.
I'm trying to. You can't see it?
Can now.
Okay, sorry. And then the dead eye will magically appear. Alright, so I'm sorry. I must have put a little too much paint in there, but what I'm doing is lifting a little of that color out. I'm push the water in so that it would make a nice hard ring around the edge of the eye and also around the actual highlights in there. Okay, so there's one. So it has kind of, it's not like black, but more of a kind of like a transparency to it. Because that is the eye is the window to the soul of a dead fish, right? And so again on this one, I like to leave just a wee bit nice highlight in there. Again, just going to lift a little bit of paint. So I wet it. Kind of wipe my brush a little bit, and then I lift the excess water out. Okay. And again, I'm just going to take a bead of water, drop it in the middle there. What that does is push it to the edges to give me a nice hard edge around the eye. All right, so next step here is we're going to do these little fins. So up here, it has, so they're fairly transparent. So I want to just give it the impression that it has a, you know, you're seeing color through these fins. Okay. And this little fin right there. Gonna add just a little more color. All right. So we're gonna let that set up. I'll put some gold in there too in a sec, but I'm gonna do, well, this one has mostly gold, I think. So let's do it. So what I'm doing is just kind of streaking some little line work, dry brush lines, and then I just softly kind of blend that in without blending it in, you know, too much water. Okay, so I'm going to do the same over here. Just a little bit of color. See how I do the fine line? And so I don't know if you notice me shaking the excess water off. That's so I don't have too much, so it doesn't just all, you know, blend into one big color. Now, just doing a few fine lines in here. And now I'm coming down to the tails. And I'm grabbing, with the Quin Gold, I'm going to add just a little bit of violet. I got some up here. I'm going to grab just a little bit of violet. It creates kind of a brownish, a graying effect to the gold that we have. What I'm going to do is just dry brush some very fine lines using the violet, mixed with a little bit of the Quin Gold. Always turn in the direction of the fin. Like what? Alright, so let's go back over here. So the violet is the complementary color that kind of creates the shadow color for this gold, this yellowish gold color. So it just kind of dulls it, browns it down a little bit, so that I have a color that's kind of dark enough to create these the striations or whatever in the tails. All right, so I think for now I think I'm pretty good here. So I'm just going to add maybe a little bit of color around this gill. Again, I'm just trying to make them pop out a little more. I might even splash in just a bit more of the magenta. Because as you see, we put a lot in the beginning, but when you get these bolder colors in now, some of the stuff starts disappearing on you. Some of the earlier colors. So let me just punch it up just a little bit, just for make the fish pop out a little bit more. Okay, so looks pretty good. All right. Now, I just wanted to kind of do a little bit more ice. Now we're going to call it quits for today.
But it's not done.
I know. Like I said, you want to watch 5 hours of me painting fish.
Don't we have extra?
Wait, don't we have another? No, we'll work on that. We're going to work on another website where we can do that. But I'm hoping you get the gist. Just remember to whatever you do to one fish, try to do it to all the rest of them. How's that? All right, so you're saying, look, he drew a line. You're not supposed to outline. But what I'm going to do is I'm filling in this whole block here. So I just wanted that one piece to kind of lay down a little bit more. That one chunk of ice, rather. All right. So just by getting a little more value on here. Okay. And like I said, you want to get, I like using like little triangles because it gives the ice, it's a kind of a rounded feel, like it's melted a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to put a little more color in here just so I can get this fish's face to kind of show a little bit better. Okay. So just a little more color, just to let the little guy pop out a little bit more.
Is it weird this painting makes me want sardines on my pizza later?
You know what? I'm going to add just a little more color to that eye. It kind of did fade away quite a bit. So, I think it's kind of fun. What happens is as you do it, more and more stuff you'll have to keep, like maybe darkening in here or there. Like here, I might want a little more color, a little more shadow kind of going on right here, just so that tail will pop out a little bit better. I'm using the blues of the ice. You could add, a little violet or a couple other little colors in there, just so it, just so we have a little more value around the fish itself, just so it kind of will stand out a little bit more. Let's do this. Again, you don't want to outline the ice. You want to kind of create colors, facets. Ooh, how fuzzy. But I think, or at least I hope, this is enough to get you started. Like I said, we're going to have the drawing on the website. If you want to work from it, that'd be great. I'm going to finish it up, and I will present it on probably Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram, and probably in the Students of R.K. McGuire Facebook group.
That sounds good.
If you're not a member, go check it out. We're trying to build a little community there where you guys can share your art, ask for critiques if you want them, or just show off what you've done. Ask questions, things that might get lost in the comments section below. But, you know, if we can't answer right away, maybe another student might have the answer for you. So check those out. Links are in the description of the video. Of course, any materials Keith uses, we've got affiliate links for a handful of online stores, or just use what he uses as a checklist. Keith wouldn't be using it if he didn't like it. I keep trying to get him to use cheaper stuff. He's telling me no.
No, I want the best of the best.
So, and they're not sponsors by us by any means.
Although we are, you know, we're looking. Wink, wink.
Not yet.
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
But your support helps us, so make sure you give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram and all the other places that you might find everything Keith and watercolors. If you're in the Saline area of Ann Arbor, Michigan, you know, look him up at Salt Valley Arts. He has different classes there, from watercolors to kids illustration to adult art. So, and they've got a bunch of stuff going on there that isn't Keith oriented.
What?
What? Yeah.
It's all Keith all the time. Wait a minute.
Keith Valley Arts.
Yeah, Keith. Very cool. All right. Are we good?
I don't know. How much more do you want to do on camera?
Oh, I'm done. I'm just screwing around now. Oh. Basically, wait. How should I hold it? Like this, or?
I like the other way better myself.
Okay, cool. There you go.
Of course, you're spinning it counterclockwise, and or clockwise, screwing everybody.
All right, we're gonna put a pin in it. All right, we'll let it go. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.